Good morning, good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, pay note to the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC sees through with their threat. Trigger warning 1, when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. And in case you're wondering, and you're new to this channel, I am like a very rabid Deadpool fan. Like, you don't know. You don't know. So many of my generation are. So, this is comic traditional Deadpool shirt. I freaking love it. All right. Sorry. All right, folks. So, where we left off yesterday, we're going to be going over a few of the same things, right? Despite this update, the FDA has determined that risks of illness or injury posed by the use of ESTs for SIB or AB are substantial and unreasonable. In other words, you can nitpick and poke all you want to, but at the end of the day, the great bulk of the evidence, both anecdotal, scientific, hard cold fact, are overwhelmingly in favor of, well, people like myself, right? It is overwhelmingly in the favor of, you know, adversive therapy going the way of the dodo, as it has in literally every single state in the union. Okay? That. All right. Way too much evidence to prove the JRC for the liars that they actually are. And as the years go on, more and more crap continues to come out. Like I'm referencing here that little NDA agreement that was leaked to us as a way to try to circumvent the mandated reporter law, which we'll be going over that tonight. Granted, this is back video, so we're going to be going over that tonight, March 12th on a Tuesday, folks. All right, let's continue, shall we? In the proposed rule, FDA used a comparison with ICDs to support the risks of post traumatic reactions, up to and including PTSD, based on the pain and corresponding distress of potential future shocks. So we've gone over this a little bit. It goes without saying. If you fear that there is going to be sudden pain inflicted upon you, you're going to flinch and more than likely end up with some form of PTSD. This isn't rocket science. This has been an established pattern for those who have gone through traumatic events from time immemorial, way beyond from when I was born. Anyways, And my ass is pushing 40. We turned 40 November the 11th, folk. Send help. All right, let's go where we were, shall we? The FDA made a comparison on the basis of each device delivers an electric shock to an individual that is out of the individual's control, occurs multiple times, and is generally perceived as surprising and painful or unpleasant. As such, our comparison was narrow, limited to particulars of such a stimulus, and yielded additional support for observations already made based on consideration of ESDs themselves. Also weighing in the evidence of professionals with many more letters behind their name than Dr. Israel has ever had in his entire existence, I might add, that specialize in psychology, neurology, and psychiatry. All right. The removal of the narrow comparison from our assessment, therefore, does not remove the basis of identifying such risks, even though it removes some support based on a device type comparison. In other words, this foible here, this nitpicking, does not erase ER documents, video surveillance footage cams, DESI reports. The list is literally endless, all right? That should go without saying. But remember, we're dealing with Kool-Aid drinkers here. Back to where we were. We're going to go over this and then close out for this one. With regard to ESDs, considered on their own, FDA identified the stress of potential future shocks, in particular as a trauma that people subject to ESDs may experience, meaning that the ongoing application of ESDs compounds the risk. Let me put it to you this way and give you an example. If you're a DV survivor or you are a childhood abuse survivor, or if you're both, what this is in reference here, okay? What it's talking about is something that is been discussed and well documented for over the last several decades. That those of us, once we are safe and out of that situation, the trauma remains. So any sudden noise might make us jump out of our skins. Any loud bang, and we will flinch as though we're trying to dodge someone getting ready to hit us. Loud noises, in particular for myself, will make me jump out of my skin. And I'm not going to be right for the next 2 hours. Okay? This is what we're referencing here. Okay? It's very, very obvious to anyone with a logical brain that if you are fearing that abuse is coming your way and you have already been on the receiving end of it, you're going to flinch at the threat of it. This isn't rocket science here. And yes, JRC, even though it is psychological and it's all in your head, no shit, Sherlock. That's why it's called a risk to mental health. You know? But let's continue, shall we? Although we are no longer drawing support from the narrow comparisons to ICDs for this premise, because now we're relying on logic, we have elsewhere explained our further consideration of the evidence supporting post-traumatic reactions up to and including the PTSD. Remember in one of the videos that we watched with Jennifer Masumba, she referenced about how her panic, fight or flight, would kick in at the sound of Velcro. This is what we're referring to, folks. A lot of the people who came forward, whether anonymously or otherwise, reported the similar things, which we all know is PTSD. Because, come on. Right? Jesus. Comments to the docket supported that people subject to ESDs experience this trauma. Duh, and so should your eyes. Okay? When he's sitting there like, no, they should be afraid of the device, but that's not trauma, though. The way I just want to say, bruh, where in the name of God did you get your degree? From the University of Satan? To summarize very briefly, further consideration of that data and information has bolstered our conclusion that the repeated application of painful stimulus such as that as from an ESD, in particular when it is not within the recipient's control, contributes to and escalates the risk of developing acute and or chronic post-traumatic reactions, also known as the lifelong mental health issue of post-traumatic stress disorder, that you never really completely get rid of, but it as you learn how to deal with it and learn things that you need to do when that situation pops up, you can still be able to function. That's not always the case, but you see where I'm going there. Thus, we believe that the evidence for the risks of such reactions is as strong as that discussed in the proposed rule. We base this off of pure logic as well as multiple thousands of studies that have been done on PTSD for over the last multiple decades, folks. We learn if we look at those studies that those who are subjected to violence do pose a risk to developing PTSD down the road. Yes, even violence that they're trying to sweep under the rug by trying to call it therapy and medicine. If you are using a shock device in order with the intent to induce and cause the person forced to wear it pain, that's violence. Okay? In case you're wondering. And that's really it, isn't it, folks? You have a group of individuals who are arguing that violence and abuse is okay as long as it's done in a quasi medical environment as a way to stop, of all goddamn things, self injurious behavior, or as I prefer to call it, self harm, because that's what it is, kids. All right. One of the most nonsensical ideas on planet Earth. The idea and concept should be to assist in dealing with the psychological and otherwise issues that may be causing that self injurious behavior to come up into a human being. Not to take away our ability to inflict self injury and then do it yourselves. All right. It's pretty simple, isn't it? The majority of medicine, even the weak, absolutely horrifically, ridiculously, and embarrassingly weak answers that Dr. Israel has provided over the years. You know the ones. Autistics have a higher pain tolerance. Bullshit. Excuse me. He's sitting there, but I know it seems extreme and it looks bad, but if we don't do this, then what? They're going to. So essentially, what you're trying to tell me is we use abuse to stop you abusing yourselves. It makes no logic, folks. When you compare yourselves to a doctor doing surgery or someone receiving ECT for therapy, we're talking about situations that, first off, are rare, second off, are entirely controlled by the patients. And third off, it is an extremely controlled environment where every single precaution under God that they can think of is taken in order to minimize the pain that the patient may go through as a result of the treatment that they're under, right? The JRC does literally the exact polar opposite. Their intention is to inflict harm. And you can sit there and tell me that's not true all you want. But if you're using a device literally designed to inflict pain on a human being, that's what it is. Okay? All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and close out with this one. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, if you could please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time this morning. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see y'all in a few minutes.